name is Piyush, and in this video we'll be seeing all about VPC peering within AWS. This is the second video in the series of AWS Networking. If you are new to my channel, please hit the subscribe button below and hit the bell icon to get notified about all my upcoming videos. Again, if you are new to AWS or if you are preparing for AWS Associate Level Certificate, this VPC peering section of the course would be really helpful in understanding the concept and clearing the exam. In this particular video, we'll be covering below topics. What is VPC peering? Important things to remember about VPC peering from exam perspective as well as from knowledge point of view. How to establish a VPC peering connection between two VPCs, and we'll be seeing that in hands-on demo section. Let us have a look what exactly is VPC peering. So it is used to connect two VPCs privately using the AWS network. It makes them behave as if they were on the same network. That means instances in the different VPCs can communicate with each other via their private IP addresses. There is no single point of failure for communication or a bandwidth bottleneck, as it does not use a physical gateway or a VPN connection. The traffic remains in the private space and all inter-region traffic is encrypted. Starting May 1st, 2021, all data transfer over the VPC peering connection that stays within an availability zone is now free. That means if you are peering two VPCs that are part of same availability zone, the traffic between them is free, and all data transfer over a VPC peering connection that crosses the availability zone will continue to be charged at the standard in-region data transfer rates. Let's have a look at few of the important points to remember from exam perspective as well as from knowledge point of view. So VPCs should not have any overlapping CIDR range. This is really important. If there is any CIDR range that is overlapping between two VPCs, then this peering connection cannot be established. VPC peering is not transitive. What I mean by that is connection must be established for each VPCs that needs to communicate with each other. That means if A is connected with B and B is connected with C, does not mean that A is connected with C directly. You have to separately create the connection between A and C. We'll see that in details in few minutes. You can do VPC peering between different accounts and different AWS regions as well. And as part of the connection setup, you should also update the route table of each VPCs through which traffic will be routed. And this is really a cost-effective solution when compared to a VPN connection. Traffic always stays on the global AWS backbone and never traverses the public internet, which reduces threats such as common exploits and DDoS attacks. Let's quickly see what I mean by transitive, that VPC peering connection is not transitive in nature. So let's say we have three VPCs, VPC A, B, and C. They all should have non-overlapping CIDR. As we can see, this is 10.0/16, 192.168.00/16 and 172.16.00/16. So these are not overlapping CIDRs. Then we have subnets in each of them. And we have EC2 instances within each of the subnets, and they all have their private IP attached to them. Now, to connect the EC2 server over here with this EC2 server, we need to establish a peering connection between VPC A and VPC B. So this is like a bidirectional VPC peering connection. And this would help us to make these instances talk to each other via their private IPs. The same way we can establish a peering connection between VPC B and C, and it will help us to make these instances talk to each other via their private IP. Since we have already a connection between A and B and C, it doesn't mean that we have a connection between A and C. This is what I mean by non-transitive in nature. Instances in VPC A and VPC C talk to each other. We need to explicitly create a VPC connection between A and C, and only then you'll be able to communicate between them. So this point is really important from the exam point of view as well. Let's have a look at how do we establish the VPC peering connection, and then we'll jump directly to the demo. So we create two VPCs with non-overlapping CIDR blocks, something like 172.16.0.0/16 and 10.0.0/16. So this is really important. Otherwise, that peering connection would not work. Then we provision EC2 server in each of the VPCs so that we can test whether each instances in each of these VPCs are able to communicate with each other via their private IPs. Then we create a VPC connection with the requester as VPC A and acceptor as VPC B. So VPCs over here would play two different roles. One would be acting as a requester who would initiate the connection request, and another as an acceptor, which is VPC B, would be accepting that connection to complete the handshake between these two VPCs. Then once VPC B accept the connection request, we have to add the route to the route tables of each VPCs with destination as other VPCs CIDR and target as the peering connection, so that all the traffic should flow through their peering connection. Once you do all those steps, you could just directly test the connection. All right, now that we have seen VPC basics and we know about the peering and everything, now let's go ahead and create the VPC peering connection between a demo VPC and the default VPC. So we'll go to VPC over here, and one VPC, which is the default VPC, comes with when you create the account, AWS account, which is this one, default VPC. So it has the IPv4 CIDR range as this one with the subnet mask of 16, and I have created another one which is my custom VPC, and it also has a IPv4 CIDR range with a subnet mask of 16. Make sure whenever you are trying to peer two or more VPCs together, they should not have any IPv4 CIDR range that is overlapping. So this point is really important over here. Okay, so we have route table, we have subnet mask, we have internet gateway, everything attached to it. So this internet gateway is the default internet gateway that is connected with your attached with your default VPC, and this custom internet gateway is attached to your custom VPCs. Okay, and the same way we also have route tables, one with the default VPC and one with the custom VPC. In this video, I'll mainly focus on the VPC peering connection between two VPCs, and I will not be covering the basics of VPC like how to create VPC, subnets, internet gateway, route table, etc. This I have already covered in another video, which was VPC fundamentals, and I'll paste the link of the same in the description section below as well as at the top of the screen. So moving on to our video, let's go ahead over here in the left side of the screen and we'll see a peering connection. I'll click on that and I'll click on create peering connection. I'll give it a name and then I'll select a requester VPC. So there are two VPCs involved in a connection. One is a requester, another one is an acceptor. So I'll keep the requester as a default VPC and it has this VPC CIDR range attached to it. Then I'll select another VPC to peer with. So you can select it from current account or another account. You can select it from this region or another region as well. So I'll keep this as default, like my account and this region, and I'll select it from the drop down as custom VPC. So this would be my acceptor VPC. Okay, they both have this VPC CIDR range attached to it, and I'll click on create peering connection. Okay, then I'll go to peering connection, and still it will show you as pending acceptance because even though you have created the connection, the acceptor VPC should have accepted the connection to make it active. Because I'm the owner of both the VPCs, that's why I have the privileges to accept the connection. So I'll select the VPC connection, click on action, and I'll accept the request from here. It says, are you sure you want to accept the VPC connection request? This is the requester VPC, this is the acceptor VPC. I'll verify everything is okay. Then I'll hit on accept request. Once I do that, I'll see the status as active. Now that we have created the VPC peering connection, we would have to provision EC2 instances in each of the VPCs to test the connection. So I'll open this in a new tab. I'll go to EC2 and I'll provision two EC2 servers, one for each of the VPCs. So I'll click on launch instances. I'll select a Ubuntu image. I'll keep this as default T2 micro instance detail. So I would be provisioning this particular instance in default VPC. So this is the default VPC have been selected. Subnet mask, I'll keep this default, no preference. Rest everything is also default. Let's hit on add storage. I wouldn't be needing additional storage. It's good. Let's give it a name. I'll give it first EC2 security group. I only need SSH access to this. So I'll keep this as default. It's fine. Create a new security group. Review and launch. Launch. I'll select my key pair. Launch instance. Okay, meanwhile, this instance is getting provision. Let me provision another instance for the second VPC. So I'll follow the same process again. I'll select the same Ubuntu image. I'll use the same T2 micro instance. And this time I'll be provisioning this in custom VPC. So I'll select the networking option as custom VPC. It only has one subnet, so it doesn't matter. And this time auto send public IP is disabled by default for the custom VPC. So I'll just enable this one because we would want it to be publicly accessible as well so that we could SSH into it. So this is good. Now let's click on add storage, add tags. I'll add a tag. I'll give it a name. Second EC2 is fine. Hit on configure security group. Over here in this EC2 server, we'll be needing SSH as well as the custom TCP port, which is port 80, because we would want to test the connectivity from other EC2 server. So let's just do that and hit on review and launch, hit on launch, and I'll select my key pair, acknowledge it, and launch instances. So this will launch my both the instances and both the VPCs. Okay, so after a couple of minutes, both my EC2 servers are active. They both have public IPv4 address assigned to it. So let's just SSH into both of the servers. Okay, so I'll open my PuTTY session from here. I'll grab the public IPv4 address, which is this one. And I'll open this. Okay, I already have my SSH key attached to it in my PuTTY session over here. If you want to see, this is my SSH key. Okay, so I'll hit yes, Ubuntu. Okay, this is my first instance. And let me open the another one. So this would be the public IPv4 DNS. So I'll open a new instance. Okay, so these are two instances that I have provisioned, one in default VPC and the right one is in my custom VPC. So they both are accessible over this private IP 10.0.0.144, and for this one 172.31.15 and 89. So let me just go ahead and install Apache in this server over here at the right. So I'll do sudo apt-get update. And I'll just do sudo apt-get install Apache 2. Okay, so Apache 2 is also installed. So let me just start the service. Sudo systemctl start Apache 2. And I can just quickly verify the status of it. Status Apache 2, it's running. Okay, so I'll just create an empty file so that I could test the connection. So I'll go to var html. So I'll just create a new file, index.html, and I'll add the content hello world. So if I do curl localhost 80, this will show my app, which is hello world, which is the sample app that I have created. It's running on localhost 80. If we do the VPC peering of both of these, then this app should be available via the private IP of this server over here as well. So currently if I do curl and the private IP of this server, which is 10.0.0.144 and 80, it won't show you anything. We did establish the connection, but there is one important point that is still pending, which is updating the route table. So let's quickly go ahead and do that and we can test the connection again. So I'll go back to my AWS console. I'll go to route tables. I'll go to my default route table first, which is this one. These are the routes that it currently has. One is a local and one is internet gateway. I'll click on edit routes. I'll add one more route of another VPC, which is 10.0.0.0/16. This one. And the target this time should be a peering connection. So I'll select this one. And we only have one peering connection available. So I'll select this one. That should be good. I click on save changes. So the route has been added. This one over here. The same way I'll just copy this IP address. So the same way we'll go to route table of another VPC, which is custom route table. Click on routes, click on edit routes, and this time I'll add the route of, because it already has the route to the local VPC. So I'll add the route for the custom VPC, which is this one. Target should be again the peering connection, same peering connection. Because this is a bidirectional peering connection, we can use the same peering connection to update the route table of both the VPCs. So I'll select that one and click on save changes. Now our task should be completed. So let's go ahead and test the connection now. Now that we have configured the VPC peering connection as well as we have added the routes of both the VPCs. So this time in this particular EC2, when I do call localhost, it should show our hello world application, which is what we were expecting. But also over here in the other VPC, this application should be accessible over port 80 via its private IP, which is 10.0.0.144. Earlier it was not working because we didn't have the peering connection as well as we didn't updated the routes. So if I hit enter over here, it's showing the hello world application. VPC peering connection has been successfully established. I hope this video was somewhat beneficial to you and you have learned something out of it. If you did, please give us a thumbs up below. It would make a huge difference for us. If you are new to my channel, I request you to subscribe it by hitting the subscribe button below and click on the bell icon to get notified about all my upcoming videos. If you have a question, then please let me know at the comment section below and I'll be more than happy to help you out. Thank you very much and I'll see you soon with the next video.